Well, as you can see, it has started to rain, and it started to rain quite heavy, and I can assure you I don't normally sit and do this out in the rain. I'm not quite that silly, although some people might say different. I've got everything laid out here. As I say, normally I'd do this in the kitchen, but I thought I'd do it here today out in the fresh air to show you. What I'm going to do, I'm going to elasticate the top joint of my pole. When I elasticate poles, I only ever put it through the top joint. I don't believe in having it right through two joints, because I think you get the elastics hang out the end, and also I think you don't miss so many fish having a short bit of elastic through it. But what I will say, if I was fishing for real big fish, then I'd use one of these uni plugs which you cut down to go into the end. But as I say, I'm only going to put it through the top joint, so we'll start and have a look how to do it. Right, I've got the pole there. The first thing I've got to do is to put a PTFE in the end. Now I've got an assortment here, if you can see them through the rain, of PTFEs of all different sizes. And I know for a fact that I've got to cut the pole back a small amount, because the elastic I'm going to put in is a number 3. Now, I've got 3 or 4 different elastics here, which I'll show you. There's a Zim elastic, which is an exceptionally good elastic. Preston Innovation elastic, very popular, another very good elastic. And a new one out, Future, that's another very good elastic. So, the one I'm going to put in, number 3, is the Preston Innovation elastic. So if I'll take that out for a start, and I'll lay that down there so that's ready. But the first thing I've got to do, I did cheat a little bit. I already looked to see how far I had to cut back, so I know I've got to cut this back a little bit. So I'm going to just cut it back a little bit at a time. I've got a little small axe saw here, so we'll start off about there and see. Bear with me while I'm doing this. It's not the best of my things, is sawing and messing about with bits and pieces, but I've done so many of these that I actually got quite efficient at doing it now. I should probably finish up having to cut it a bit further back than this, but I don't want to cut too much back. Come on, hurry up. That's it. Now just rub it down a little bit. I normally use Henry paper, but I can't find none in my box. So what I've done with that, I don't know. So I'm just using a little file. Lay that there a minute, and let's try some of these PTFEs. There we are. And now let's see how that, see if me luck's in, see if if it fits nice. Oops, come in, Dick. See, my old nerves are a little bit bad. Look at that. Couldn't have done that better. What a lovely fit. I haven't got to glue that in or nothing. What a beautiful fit. Right, that's in there nice. Now the next job that I'm going to do is put me stompo on. So what I'll do now, I'll get the elastic and I'll get the stompo, which I've got laid down here. That's the little end bit. I'll thread all that through and leave that on there like that. Now the next thing is the actual stompo. I've got that laying here. Now as you can see, there's a little hole in there with a groove. So if I thread all that through the hole, right, then just tie it in just an ordinary straightforward knot. Put that through. Put that through once and pull it right in the middle of that groove. See how it's right in the middle? Like that. Lovely. Now just do it again, exactly the same knot again. Through we come. Pull it again. Right in. Right in the middle. Normally, what I'd have to do, I'd have to wet the elastic, get a nice tight knot, but because it's raining out here, I haven't even got to wet it today. Right, now I'm going to cut it off. I'm not going to cut it right tight. Oops. I'm going to cut it off and leave about 1/8 of an inch. Like that. Lay that down there. And as you can see, I've got about 1/8 of an inch. Now, if I push this back over the top, up she comes, push that over. And if you look closely, as you can see, I've got that little bit sticking out there. Now that little bit sticking out there stops it from slipping through when if you get a big fish and there's a lot of pressure on, it sort of holds the knot tight. So then that's a nice fit. Now the next thing I'll do, I've got my pole top. Now if I hold it here, hold the stompo like that, and I'll think myself, and then cut it off about 1/2 inch up from the end of the pole. Yep. So now all I've got now is the stompo on a bit of elastic. And that elastic is 1/2 inch shorter than the pole tip. Next thing is, get my pole threader, which I've already unwound. I thought I'd better unwind it now because when I do it, it always seems to tangle up for some reason or the other. So I untangled it early to so it was all ready for you. So you need to put that through. And as you can see at the end of the threader, I've got a nice little push the elastic through and then just pull it into the tight bit at the end so that it can't pull out. You see that? And then all I need to do then is turn the pole slightly round and pull it through gently. There it comes, just pulling it through very gently. Here we are, the elastic's out the other end. I hold it there, pull the elastic down and out, lay the threader out the way. Now the next thing I've got to do is put a loop in the end there. So if I hold that like that, just an ordinary simple loop. Oops, I'm giving myself a little bit more elastic. Through once, go through. There we are. As I say, I haven't got a wetly line because we've got the moisture outside. Just cut that off, give it a little bit extra pull. Cut that off, leave about 1/8 of an inch again. Here we are, that's all ready. Now the next thing, now in here, I've got another little Stompo gadget, a little plug that we call them. See a little plug there? I'll hold it on my hand. Right, you can see that. Now all I do is hold that and put it in the little loop there, into the groove, and let that go into the pole. Now one last thing, I've done all that now, that's all ready. All I've got to do now is get my slip, hold it like that, again, pull my plug out, like that, hold it there like that, and drip it in. See it going in? Now the idea of that is so that the elastic doesn't hang out the end of the pole when I play a big fish and you get a bit of stretch on. Put that like that. Okay. Let the elastic go back in like that. That's a nice neat fit. I'm just going to give it a quick shake so that everything's all down the pole. Right, now look at that, it's a lovely neat job, and you watch, I can pull it right out. Look at that. See all that stretch, all that's all the pressure the fish can have on the line. And I'm going to let it go and it's going to go straight back to where it was. Perfect. And that's as simple as that. And what's that took me? 5 minutes. And if I can do it, I'll guarantee you, if I can put elastic in a pole, anybody can, because these sort of things I'm not normally very good at. Where to fish? Well, I'm going to settle down here. Reason being, it looks like it's well fished. And if there's a place that's been well fished, that normally means that there's a few fish about. So this has been well worn. By looking at it, I can see that it's been fished in the last couple of days. I haven't fished this venue before, so I'm just gonna look for where it's been fished. Right, the first thing I'm gonna do is push that out and put it on my pole holders and adjust them in the right position. See now that needs adjusting more. See how the pole's going down into the water? That is, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to lower this one down a bit and see how it goes now. So I want it, so the pole is actually about too much now. So the pole is actually about 5 or 6 inches off water, about like that. There we are. Now, if you're just starting pole fishing, having the pole like that is, I'll tell you what, it makes it much easier for firing your bait out. Because when you first start using long poles, you do find it hard to hold the pole. I will show you how to feed holding the pole later, but you find it hard. So it's so much easier when you can just fire out to the end of your pole with both hands free. And the other thing, of course, is you've got your ground bait here. Now I'm not going to put much ground bait out today. I'm just going to put a couple of little balls to start with. So in the ground bait, I'm going to put a bit of hemp, just a little bit in one corner, and a few casters. Now I can squeeze it into a ball. I'm not going to squeeze it too hard. Put it there, because I don't think the lake's very deep. And then you can stand up and you've got both hands free to throw your ground bait exactly where you want it, right at the end of the pole, like that. So what we do, we'll give them two little bits of ground bait. Did you see how that went in the water? I mean, I'll throw this in again out, just put this out where the ground bait is, where my float is. Well, my float's still around me, but the end of the pole, like that. Put that on the end of the pole. Now, if I throw some ground bait down the edge for you, see how it comes, what a lovely cloud it is. See how it's all clouding up? And that's what you want. Let's put this down out the way. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is position the pole roller. So if I take this out, now what I like to do, I like to get the pole roller in a nice, easy position, so when I push the pole back, it goes onto the pole roller without thinking. So what I do, I just pull the pole back the best in a nice, comfortable position for me. And when I get I lay the pole down, and that's where I'm going to put the pole roller. So what I'll do now, I'll leave the pole there like that. I'll jump off my box, get my pole roller, leaving the pole in the same position. I'll put the pole roller here. So, 2 marks, move the pole and lay the pole roller in. And now I know that when I push the pole back, that's going to be in a nice, comfortable position for me. And what I'm doing, as you see, I've sloped the pole roller back, because if I have the pole roller too high in the air, what's going to happen, when I take the pole apart, the pole's going to go up in the air. So I'll leave it sloped like that's nice. Now I can get back and we can do a bit of fishing. Right, put the pole on the roller and then push it back. Take the joint a bit, hook that under there so it don't go up in the air. So that's doing 2 jobs for me. Right, now what as I said, I'm using a float which is about 1/2 gram, and I'm using an Olivette today. And I've just got 1 dropper shot below. Now, if you can see, there's 1 little dropper shot and my Olivette. Now, one of the golden rules is, when you use an Olivette, especially if you don't want to tangle, is that, see this bottom, there's the Olivette, and there's me 1 shot there. It's only a small shot, that's a number 13 shot. But if I hold that number 13 in my hand and I fetch the hook round, oh, the hook's stuck in my hand, it's so sharp, and I fetch the hook round, that hook must always be shorter than the olivette, and then you can't tangle round the olivette. Whereas if I had the shot there and the hook came up above the olivette, and then you find that would tangle round the olivette like that, whoops, you can't do it when you want it to. It would go over the line like that, and it would come down, and you'd find you'd get in tangles and everything. See how it's wrapped round like that? But through having that shot down further, that don't happen. So always have the shot shorter than the olivette when you fold it back. Right, now we've put a nice bit of bait out there, so hopefully we're going to catch some fish. Yeah, look at that. A bite first put in. It's only a little fish. Put my pole there safe. Oh, a little gudgeon. I must admit, I didn't expect to catch a gudgeon. I didn't even know there was any in here. They are greedy little things, but it's amazing, they feed all the time. Pop that in the net, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to put another red maggot on, and if I catch too many gudgeon, then I will actually change to a caster, because a caster will sort out the bigger fish. I mean, the way things are looking, as if the place has got a lot of fish in. I hope it has. I was told it's quite a few fish in here. So, out with the pole, lay it on the water, let it sink, and this time, put a little bit more feed in. A little bit of hemp this time, just a few grains. The idea of fishing is to feed little and often. Just a little grains round the float. A lot of people, they seem to go wrong. What they intend to do, especially when they start another bite. This feels like a roach. Yeah, this is a little roach. What they intend to do is that they intend to feed about once every 10 minutes and put a load in, and that is wrong. You should always feed little and often. There's a nice little roach, look at that. Only a little one, about an ounce. Use a disgorger. When you use a disgorger, just hook it down, push the mouth into the mouth careful, turn and pull out. And there it is, and you do no damage at all to the fish. I know it was only a little fish, but you don't like to hurt any fish at all, because they're all the fish that we're gonna hope to catch when they're a bit bigger. I'll have a few more goes. I mean, what we've been fishing, we've not been fishing more than 2 minutes. I've had 2 bites in 2 chucks. Now, I'm fishing out about 8 metres, which is longer than you can fish with a rod, and I am in perfect control of the flow. And that's the whole idea of pole fishing, is to be in control. And there's a lift bite. Oh dear me, that is a little fish, that one. They're getting smaller. They are. Take the pole apart. Oh dear me, look at that. That's on a big maggot. Now that's got to tell me to put a caster on. I'm not even going to put that in the net, poor little thing. Pop that in there, let it go away. Now I'm going to put a caster on. I'll put it on exactly how I've shown you. On some of the very hard fish waters, when I put a caster on the hook, I always put ones on that a caster is a maggot that's turned to chrysalis and sinks. But if you leave them out of water for a long while, and let's leave them in the open air, they float if they're out of water after a fair while. And they're the ones that I normally like to put on the hook when I'm fishing real hard waters, and that just counteracts the weight of the hook. So I do that in real hard waters. But we've got a caster on now, so we should have to wait a little bit longer for a bite. Keep feeding. As I said, never forget to feed. I'm only feeding half a dozen grains of hemp at a time and half a dozen casters. I'm just keeping a little bit of bait going into the lake all the time. Just little weeny bits all the time. We will definitely have to wait a little bit longer for a bite now, because caster is a much slower bait, but it does intend to sort you out slightly bigger fish. They tell me that there's roach in here, there's supposed to be tench and there's supposed to be carp. I don't think if I hook a carp on this tackle I've got much chance of landing it, because I'm actually fishing an 07 main line and an 055 diameter hook length, which is equivalent to 12 ounces. So as you know, I'm fishing very light, but with the number 3 elastic that I've got on, I will fully expect to be able to land anything up to 2 pounds. So providing I play it carefully. That is definitely a lot slower on the caster, but here is a bite. Oh, I missed it. Yeah. Now, when you come in without a fish on, to make sure you don't tangle, always keep the pole low and the float and hook in the water. By doing that, you've less chance of tangling up. So keep everything low and the pole and hook in the water, and it's less chance of causing any tangles. Let's have a look. That caster's just nipped at the end. That might have been another little fish, so I'll take that off and put another caster on. Right, pop that one on. Now, the same thing applies to when you're going out. See, I've dropped the hook into the edge, and it's lucky enough it never went in the keep net. Now, I've put the pole together, and I'm pushing it out, and I'm leaving the float is just out of the water with the hook and the olivet underwater. And by doing that, you'll find again, it's completely tangle-free. And you lift it out of the water when you get to where you want, and you lay it in the water. You can just, the only time, if I pull it out again, the only time that I will actually drop it in the water in an heap, you know, just drop it down like that, is when I'm fishing a venue with a load of bleak or little fish that I want to get through. But there's not a load of bleak here, and so what I'm doing, I'll take it out again, and I'll lay it in the water in a long line. So I've laid it, and I've laid it out so that it actually sinks in like a half moon. It sinks nice and slowly, and the fish do intend to follow the bait down because of the way it's sinking. So always remember to lay the bait out. I don't know how long we'll wait to catch any better fish, or whether we will. You can never tell with fishing. That's the beauty. It's a bite. I'll let that take it this time. There we are. It's not a big fish. Just take my time. See, I've just put the tip of the pole under the water, and I'll take it back nice and gently. Just roll it on the old roller. It makes everything nice and easy. Unjoin and lift it. That's not a bad little roach. It's the best one today. That's a couple of ounces. What a lovely little fish, eh? What a beautiful fish. It's a real nice quality fish. Look at that. Perfect condition. Drop that in, the way it goes. So it looks like at the moment, caster definitely seems to be the best bait. There, I'm just feeding it out slowly, nicely running through my hands with the pole roller in position and everything. Then I just pick it up, the pole up, it's out the full distance, and I'm laying it along the water, laying it on the water, and I'm just putting the pole down onto my knee, all on my elbow, and I've got 2 hands free, and I've got perfect control on that float. The float is actually, I would say I've got 2 foot of line to 2 foot 6 of line from the pole tip to the float, and I've got complete control. So bite straight away. Oh, there's a nice fish. Now this is a nice fish, this one. Oh, there, look at that go, look at that go. Look at that go. That is a nice fish. That is probably going to be an 8-ounce roach at least. Oh, look at that go, look at that. Now you can, oh dear, can you believe it? Dickie. Let's have a look what happened there. It's either done the hook length, or the hook's pulled out. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Look at that, believe it or not, that's broke the hook. Look at that, can you believe it? Normally after losing a fish like that, I do tend to have to wait a little bit longer for a bite, because it does dart off through the swim, and after losing it, it's normally a little bit harder to catch another one, so we just have to wait and see, won't we? Lay it down gently, and put a bit more feed in. Half a dozen casters. There they go. Nicely round the float. And there just sit. I'm not going to work the bait, I'm going to leave it laying there over depth. I wish you could be here and have a feel how this pole feels. It's so light and stiff. It's bang on, and I'm fishing at about 8 metres, and to be perfectly honest, you just don't know you've got it in your hand. It's absolute magic, to put it mildly. This is a nice fish I've got on here. A nice sized fish that I'm having. This is the best fish of the day. It really is a nice fish, this one. Look at that. It's a lovely fish, this one. See if I can get this one out. We lost the last decent one we had, didn't we? This is not a bad fish. I wouldn't be surprised if this ain't half a pound. It's a nice fish. Oops. Yeah, I'm taking my time with it. I don't want to lose it. Come here. Hopefully this will be a roach. It'd be nice if it was a roach. This will be about half a pound if it isn't more. A nice fish. Just take your time with it. I've got to keep the line tight. There it goes again. I'll go out with it. I don't want to lose it. So I'm only on 12-ounce line, so you don't want to lose it, do you? Once I get the pole apart, I lay that down there so if I need to, I can grab that quick again if it's a bigger fish than I thought when I actually see it. Oh, it is a lovely roach. It really is a lovely. I've just seen it. It's got to be close on a pound, this roach. It is an absolute beauty. Please don't come off. Lay the net in the water, and I'm going to try and pull the fish actually over the net. No point in rushing it. If you rush it, as I say, I'm only on 12-ounce, I've got a chance of pulling the hook out. And look at that, this is over a pound, this roach. It's an absolutely gorgeous creature, to put it mildly. Just, come on, look at that, here it comes. An absolute gorgeous fish. That's mine. That is an absolute gem of a fish. Look at that there. Let's put that gently behind. Now let's pull it out. This is an absolute gorgeous fish. Every bit of a pound, maybe more. That is definitely a pound plus roach, which is a lovely specimen. Just look at that. I'm going to keep that over the net so it don't go back, just in case I drop it. Like that there. Now that is what you call a beautiful fish. Every bit of a pound. What a cracking fish. Bloodworm, probably the most controversial of all the baits used today. I myself, I love it. I think it's an absolute brilliant bait in the winter. It catches fish when no other bait can, and let's be fair, that's what everybody wants to go fishing for, to catch fish. So let's get out and see if we can catch some fish, because I love using it, and I'm going to try and show you a few of the little secrets that I've learned over the years on bloodworm fishing. Right, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you all my bits and pieces and little gadgets that I use when I'm bloodworm fishing. I'm going to start off with line, because that's the main thing that you do your pole rigs with. The line I use is Tecton. I like it, it's been good to me. I can slide shots up and down, and I don't seem to tangle with it, and that's as good a reason as any to use it. But the main thing with line is, especially when you're pole fishing with bloodworm, is the fact that all your rigs are so delicate. We use a lot of wire tip floats and everything, so of course you've got to have a line to match. And I honestly believe that when you're bloodworm fishing, an 07 diameter is as much as you want. You don't want to go no heavier. Of course, there are exceptions when you are fishing for much bigger fish, and there are the times when you do catch bream and that on bloodworm, and you can go to R8, but for normal bloodworm fishing, I normally like to use an 07. So I'll put that down for a minute. I must say it's getting blooming windy and I'm getting cold. I'm going to put my hood up. Right, so we've got the line. The next thing is the floats. If I open my box up, I've got some shut away in here somewhere or the other. I want that out. Right, now I've got some floats in here. Oh dear, let's put this back on and do it properly. Ha. A good gadget until it comes to putting it back. Right, I want some of these floats out of here, that's it. That's it, there, I've got one there. Cut that up. As you can see, that one is a wire stem float right through, very sensitive. And because the floats are sensitive, you want a light line, like I said, and it does help to stop the wind catching the line and everything. But that is a typical bloodworm float. It's a nice shape. You can practically use that all round. You can even use that on rivers and lakes and everything, but the main thing is a nice wire bristle. So I'll lay that down a minute, and as you come down the line, shots. Now I've got a little golden rule that I use when it comes to shotting my floats up to 1/2 gram. I prefer to use shots. Now get them out of my drawer. Let's get these little shots out. When I can get them all out, I've got 4 sizes here. Come here. Out they come. Now that up. Now these are old shots, very old shots. These are ones that Olympic used to do. Now the beauty about these shots are, I don't know what I'm talking about, because you will have a job to buy them now, but if you see any in the shops, buy them. They're very round, the holes are all in the centre, and what I like about these shots is, now take the 13s. I've just put a few on my hand. They're a very small shot, and if you compare them with the 13s you buy today, you'll find that they're slightly smaller. Now, the beauty of them is, I'm not going to waste them because there's a value, I'm going to put them back in the box, is that this float, this is a bigger wire stem float, but if I was to have a one, say a 3 number 8 wire stem float, and it actually took, these 13 shots, it actually took 14 to dot it right the way down to 1/8 of an inch out of the water. If I lost the rig and I put another 13 on, it'd be exactly the same. They're so accurately, every one's exactly the same. So they're my shots that I like to use when I'm bloodworm fishing. And the number 11s, I'll put them on my hand again. You see there, again, they're whoops, come on, get on my hand. They're all round, they're nice, and they're the same size as a lot of other shots, but I find them nice and easy to use. So I use these shots quite a lot, and as I say, any float under 1/2 gram I use to shot up with shots, anything over 1/2 gram, and then I use Olivettes. I use the tungsten olivettes. There's a lot of good olivettes out, but the ones I do prefer are the ones that's got a little bit of silicone through the centre of them, and that stops them damaging the line and sliding up and down. They're easy to keep in the same position. The other thing, hooks. Now, I'm going to get this line out here, this 12-ounce Pro line, because I like to use that for hook lengths. Now, the hooks I like to use, I've got so many hooks, it's unbelievable. Where some people buy things, I always buy hooks, but at the moment, I'll lay them there. The hooks that I like to use more than anything else for bloodworm fishing is, I'll lay them there, is these green hooks. Green barbless, well, I can't really pronounce it well, Kamikazu. If I hold it there, you can see it. But then a number of them is 6313. They're a green barbless hook, and they are without a shadow of a doubt the finest hook on the market. They're thin and they're very sharp, and they seem to go into the fish's mouth so easy. And I even use them when there's perch about with an hard bony mouth, because they just seem to go in. But what you have to remember, they're barbless, and it takes a bit of time to getting used to, especially when you're taking the pole apart. But as I say, there they are, and I use them. Even 22s is my most popular size when I'm bloodworm fishing. A lot of people say it's big, but I don't think it makes any difference personally. I use a 22 most of the time. I'm going to put them away because I don't want the chance of losing any of them. Sorry about the lorry, whoops, the lorry going by. It does seem to make a lot of noise. I know I don't talk very good the best of times, but with the lorries going by, it makes it even more harder to understand me. I'm going to put these back because I don't want to get them wet or anything. Oh, I've got some olivettes here. I was saying about olivettes. I'll tear that open. Put that paper in there. I don't want it to blow away. I want to... Come here. As you can see, if I hold it out on my hand, see the silicone going through, I'd cut that back a little bit, and that stops it from the shots. It bangs against the shots, and the shots seem to stay in the same position, and the olivette don't keep dropping down the line. So they're the sort of olivettes I like to use. I've got a safety pin in there. God knows what that's there for. Put that in there. And I've even got a little bit of mystic here in my box. Sometimes I might even drop a little bit of that next to me bloodworm. Shut that up. So right, we've gone through the hooks. We've gone through my main line. The only other thing left is the hook length. This Pro. I've been using that just lately, and I've had no complaints with that at all. I found it very good, and down in the south of England at the moment, that does seem to be one of the most popular lines. So put that away, lay that there. Now, what I've done here, I've put all my bloodworm that I've got here. I've got 4 different packs. I'll move that out of the way. Move that out of the way. I'll go through them quick for you. That one there's raw. Now that's some real big bloodworm in there. Really nice big stuff in there. Let's wrap that up again. This one here, that's raw again, but that's a much smaller bloodworm. Sometimes the fish only want a bloodworm, a small one and not a big one. So that's another sort there. And what I've done here, I've just got some that I've put in peat. This stuff, I put that in black peat, which you can see it's easier to sort out, and there's an assortment of small ones and large ones in there in black peat, and that's kept really well. That's nice like that, especially when you just want to pick the big ones out. A lot of people do it like that, but I'll show you my favourite way to sort me hook bait out. And another one here, this is just in a different colour peat, which is roughly the same. It's a lot drier. It's when the bloodworm in here is a lot older, so I'll put it in a lot drier peat. It's probably coming on for nearly 2 weeks old, that is, so you can keep it. All you have to do is, if you want to keep bloodworm for a week and you keep it, it's best to keep it in paper like this and just take it out and shake it like that all the time. And another little trick that I do, I don't know if I've got a polythene bag with me, I don't think I have, but I actually put it inside a polythene bag, and then just inside the polythene bag, if you just squirt a little bit of the atomizer just to wet the bag, you find it keeps it a lot better. But that's another way to keep it. But what I like to do when I'm actually going to fish, now what did I do with them, is this here. I've got this here, you can either use, this is a bit of toilet paper, which most anglers carry with them just in case they, what I like to do is just lay some, either this or just lay it nice and neatly in the bottom of your box, like that. And if you get the spray and you just spray it, just damp it. See how it's just damping? Like that. And then if you get your raw bloodworm, you can just get a little bit and you can sprinkle it out. You find it keeps in very good condition like that. It's just damp enough. But normally what I like to do the night before, when I'm on a match and I want some big bloodworms, I sit in my shed and I sort out the real big ones and lay them in on this stuff, and you find they keep in lovely condition because it's just damp enough. Just like that. Just sort out the bigger ones and you see you can get your hands on them, and I just put that on my tray or in my tray like that. One thing I must mention too, I mean just lately, everywhere I've been, it's been so bloody windy that you're liable to get things blew off your bait tray into the water. So I have actually been putting a little stone or something in the edge of the tray like that just to make sure it don't blow away. That's how windy it's been just lately. But I lay that there, and now we've got the old joker. Now what have I done with that? Here it is. Now with the joker, there's a few different ways to put the joker in. But what I'll do, I'll just mix it up in a few different ways quick. Now, if I get a bit of joker, won't use too much, put a little bit in the tray like that. Towel here, hands are white. And what have I done with it? In here. This senses this or grey lean, which I actually sell grey lean myself, and here I am advertising sensors stuff. So it's just that it's easier in one of these things. If you just sprinkle a little bit in like that, just a very little bit. There we are. And tighten up so it's a finer spray. That's it. And just spray only a little bit like that, so I was hardly anything on it, and mix that in. Now if I leave that a few minutes, you'll find that you will be able to actually, if you want to, squeeze it in little balls. I know you're not going to be able to see this go in the water from here, but you can just throw it in like that, and that's a very nice way to feed. That's when you're on shallow water and you're after roach on canals and the fish don't want ground bait. There's that way. Let's see if I can find I'll put that in there for the time being, in that spare bait box there. Another way that a lot of people like to do with their joker, and two, it does help like this when your jokers, if you get your joker and you'll find it's a little bit old. I mean, this is not in nice condition, reasonably nice condition, but if it's a little bit stuck together and it's not exactly in the best of conditions, you can always get a piece and actually put it in your box like that. Now to make it really come to life, if you can see that now, that's not exactly what you call that lively, but what a lot of people do, I've got a sieve here somewhere. Now this is damp lean, it's a sort of a, whoops, got a leaf in it as well, damp leaf. Now if I put a little piece of that, not too much, in the sieve and run it through the sieve, as a fine, just rub it through into it. Just a little bit more, not too much. You don't realise what an handy part of the fishing tackle is, this old sieve. Now, if I mix all that in like that, now what it does, by mixing that leam in, it breaks the joker up. Where the joker, as you can see here, is stuck together, it loosens it all and makes it all part, so it's all single joker. It makes it go further and look more than you've got, and it breaks it up, and you can see, look at the difference in that now. See how it's all, I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's actually all, it's all loose now, and you see how much more life in it is. And a lot of people even feed it like that, but that's what they do when the old joker's not in such good condition, it's stuck together. And you can also, if you want, just put that over the other side. You can, where's my spray gone? Just make sure it's coming out right. Spray that a little bit, and you can even, a little bit sticky, but you can even throw that into a little bowl. See, that's just like I've done with the other stuff, but it's made it a little bit looser before you actually put the water with it. And you can actually throw that into the water. I don't know if you'll see it, but see how that lovely ball? And a lot of people feed it like that as well. I said to you earlier on that I would show you how to feed holding the pole. Now, you pick the catapult up and place it in your right hand, and just see how my elbow runs along the pole. So I'm holding the pole really on my knee with my elbow. And it's amazing, you even do this on windy conditions. So then I do is just place a few grains of hemp actually in the catapult and change hands. So I'm holding the catty like that. Got this hand free, just hold the catty and go along the pole like that and feed. See how nice and easy it was? Oh, I've even got a bite at the start. I've fed and I've got a fish straight away. Not a big fish, but there is a few fish now. They do respond to it, and all I'm feeding, I've lost that one. Messing about, the hook pulled out. It just shows there are fish there, they do respond to the feeding. And what I have done, I've come slightly off bottom, and I'm fishing double worm, and I seem to be catching a few bit of slightly bigger fish. But I've put the bait on again and just see what difference it does, mate. Let's put a couple of worm on. Nice big ones, because there are a lot of them silly little fish about that we don't want to catch. I'll pop the pole out and I'll go through the routine again and show it to you. Put the pole out we go. As I say, put the pole on your knee and you hold it with your elbow. Just have a little bit behind you. You don't need to have that much, but you can have it whatever you like. But that's nice and comfortable, and you've got both your hands free. Get the catty and place it in your right hand and just hold it like that. You got your bait on your tray, nice and handy. Just drop a few grains of hemp in the catty, then hold it like that. Place your hand like that and just go along the pole like that, right round the float. It's so easy to do, but it's one of them things that practice makes perfect. Let's just flick it out again. I'll go over it again. Catty's laying there. Right, pick the catty up and place it in my right hand. Just get a few grains of hemp and place in the catty. Change hands round along the pole, a nice little steady pull back. Look at that, ideal, right round the float. Put the catty back and you're ready to fish. And I think I've got a bite as well. Now look at that. Straight away, a little bit of feed and I'll catch a fish. They seem to be responding to the hemp. Well, I think it is the fact that the emp is only a little, look at that gudgeon again. The emp, as I explained to you earlier, I've got it all dyed red, and it must act like little bits of blood and joker. It must resemble that falling through the water all the time, and it definitely attracts the fish into your swim. And which is unusual during the winter, is to actually catch fish off bottom like I am. I'm not far off bottom. I've only came up off bottom about 3 inches, but it's definitely made a difference to my catch rate. What with that and feeding quite regular. And then you can see I've not been fishing that long, but all the messing about I've done, I haven't really been fishing that long. I've been messing about doing this and that, and I know it might sound complicated how to fire the bait out, but it's amazing. After a little while, you do it without thinking, and it definitely pays just to keep a little bit of gear going out all the time. Oh dear me, they're getting littler again now. We caught a few better ones off bottom, now we're starting to get a few little ones again. Look at the size of that. Terrible. Poor little thing. Put that back, won't put that in the net. Another little fish, in we come. Another little gudgeon. Seem to have a few gudgeon here at the moment. Right, just took myself out, a couple of big worm. Come on, let's sort. There's a nice one. Right through the head. Another one. Nice bunch. Couple there. Whack them on the water. And out we go. I should be using me thing. Now, I'm pushing the pole out. And as you can see, I've got the float laying in the water as I'm pushing it out. Now, the reason you keep the pole down and the float in the water like that, especially when you've got shots strung out like I have today, is that it causes you less tangles, and so there's no chance of tangling it while you're pushing it out with all the rigs in the water. It's the same as when you come in when you haven't got a fish on. If you keep the float down in the water, you'll find you're a lot less chance of tangling up, especially when you're fishing very shallow. So always keep everything in the water if you can. Keep the old elastic nice and tight. This is where the old rollers come in handy. That's it. Go. Oh, look at that. What a nice way to finish the day off, eh? Not a big fish. If it comes off, I'll have to catch another one. No, it's not. Look at that. Lovely little rudd. Beautiful. Where's my disgorger? There we are. Come here. Untook that. Look at what a lovely fish. Beautiful. Put that back there. And that will do. Let's just put that on. Have one more throw out. One for luck. I'll never want to pack up once I start fishing. We are, look at that. Just unwrap that round my cup, give it a flick, and out we go. This is going to be there's a plane going over. Out we go. This is definitely going to be my last chuck out, whether I catch a fish or not. To be honest, the way the fish are coming now, the way the fish are biting, I'd like to stay here till dark, but I've got so much gear laid out everywhere. If I leave it too late, I should be leaving some of it here. I've just looked down to the centre of the lake, and to be honest, I've just seen a big fish rise. But that's as I say, I'm at the shallow end, and I feel that I've done very well to catch what I have from here today. You definitely need to flick little bits of gear in all the time to keep the fish happy. Little bits of them really seem to make a difference, it really does. There it goes again. Ah, another roach. This is definitely the last fish. Definitely the last fish. There we are, look at that. What a little beauty, little roach. Lovely. I used a disgorger on it. That's the beauty of them barbless hooks. You never hurt the fish when you take the hook out. You don't. Lovely days fishing. I'll put that there. Lay that out of the way. Wipe my hands. Now I'm going to call it a day.